Hi guys, welcome to this week's earnings season. I'm Randy at RT on Twitter, and I am giving you guys a quick intro this week because what you're about to hear is part 2 of that conversation that we started with 876 Invest in episode 44. And those of you who listen to episode 44, and shout out to you guys, people who listen to every episode. But those of you who listen to it would know that we stopped right as we were about to get into Salada, I believe. So what you'll hear now is the start where we get into Salada. So listen out for that, enjoy the episode, and don't be surprised. And again, yes, this episode, just like episode 44, ends before the official ending. Again, it was a really long episode, so we decided to cut it up into 3. It was 5 hours, guys. I'm not doing that to you anymore. I'm sorry. I know. Some of you don't like the long episodes. Some of you love it. We're trying to find that nice middle ground, all right? So this is a little bit of the middle ground, a nice, relatively quick episode, depending on how you look at it, where we start off with Salada and we run through all the way through. You'll hear me again at the end, where I just remind you guys to look out for the last piece. And yeah, look out for it. Salada. Big up to 876 Invest again for doing this. Thank you guys for doing this. And thank you guys for listening. Not just 876 Invest, but everybody. Oh, one last thing, guys. Just in case you guys don't remember who our guests from 876 Invest are, there is Henel, Schaunn, and Nicholas, right? And I'm telling you this because I know you might not catch the voices at first. So you're going to hear my voice and Danai's voice, and I'm going to assume that you guys are used to our voices by now. But right after that, when I ask about Salada, the next person who comes in is Henel, right? A little after we finish with Salada, we go to, I think, Sygnus, and Schaunn actually speaks, and then Nicholas Dundas, right? And I'm telling you that because you'll understand when you hear it, but I didn't want anybody to be too lost, you know? And you'll tell the difference between Schaunn and Dundas because Schaunn actually says, I think Dundas should give the most talking on this one. And then Nicholas Dundas jumps in and says, well, I don't know. I just didn't want you guys to be lost when it comes to the voices, alright? Randy again, out again, enjoy the episode. Alright, so coming up next, we have Salada Foods. Anybody love this? Anybody like it?
Okay.
No?
Let me just jump in on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So for Salada, I like the company, but I'm a bit worried because of the quota system that has been implemented, where they have to sort. So they have to increase their amount of Jamaican coffee in their blends, but like they haven't been able to have enough supply, and also Jamaican coffee is very expensive.
All right. So first question: when did they hear about that?
When
was the last time we heard news of the quota system?
The quota.
I think earlier this year.
Earlier this year, yeah. This was.
Yeah, it's been a while that they were appealing it. They were saying to the, what is the name again? The coffee people.
One of the boards, the coffee industry board. Yeah.
Them, yeah.
Or it could be the trade board.
Something like that. But they're appealing it because they say you're really stepping in on the business more than just so. And they have been making moves outside, so with the whole cess around coffee, around imported coffee, which really was the aim of it, was to cut down on imported coffee being used as or driving for our product, for our coffee product. Yeah. They have made some moves around it because they have been buying up local coffee in a certain way, and they buy it, and because of how they were using it, it's been working out for them. I think they were buying it in a way that it was cheaper overall for them than just buying than they were buying it before.
That might be a little confusing. So, well, first let's bring people up to speed.
Yeah.
The Salada does coffee. They import a lot of their green beans.
Yeah.
The coffee industry board hit them with a rule that says that any coffee product produced in Jamaica has to have a certain mix of Jamaican green beans in it, right? Which is one of those things that's so nice on the surface, especially if you are in the business of coffee, in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But the reality is that Salada has an entire business history built upon being able to keep the price at a certain product, and they can't use regular Jamaican green beans because the quality isn't where they want it to be. I am paraphrasing a bit here from the Salada side of things.
Jamaican coffee people have been coffee manufacturers, not the farmers. Farmers, of course, we believe the beans are the best, but the people that actually manufacture products from it, so like coffee powder and that type of stuff, they have been complaining and saying, yo, Jamaican beans, while they're more expensive than importing, at the end of the day, on a whole, the quality is less. We find damaged beans a lot. We find the beans are at the level where we want them to be. So, and they're coffee connoisseurs, so they really know what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's twofold. And I can speak hopefully empirically, as I just love coffee, but I'm not in with any of these companies, so I can tell you that what it is I think at the top end, or top end coffee is obviously world class. We've heard that every day, right? But to make the regular little mixed coffee, instant coffee that Salada have, they can't just change a product mix like that. Imagine it. You can't change what your product is. And they can't afford the expensive top end coffee. And then if you're not selling that expensive top end coffee, which usually means that you're selling it to Japan or something like that.
Yeah, Japan is the largest market for our coffee.
Quite so. If you're not doing that, then your chances are your quality isn't at that level. And if you are at that level, you have certain inputs that the price is wicked. So you can't really drop. So Salada caught. We can't afford the expensive product, and your cheap product is poor quality. We can't take it. But they have been trying to take it. They've been talking about how many containers of green beans they've taken from the local market. But up to earlier this year, I remember they had an article where they're saying that the cess is killing them pretty much, right? They said that the export sales went up, but the profits slumped in 2019. And they said it very clearly that the cess is what's killing them, right? They paid $90 million in cess at a cost of US $1 per 41 per imported green bean. How that works is that they can't stop them from making it. But what the government does is they put a tax on the imports of green beans, which is to say, well, you don't have to use ours, but if you're going to import anything, we're going to charge you. Again, that sounds very good as a personal point. When you think in terms of business, you might have 3 happy farmers and 200 unemployed people because Salada lockdown.
But interestingly, if you look at the cess, even with the cess per kilogram, the price of coffee, the price of importing it is still cheaper.
Yeah. It cuts the margin, but it doesn't kill them.
But it doesn't. It's not the point where boy, I can't import anymore. So I guess that's good on the government.
And I think even when they import, it's still cheaper than what they pay for the same weighting of Jamaican coffee.
That's what I meant, yeah, man.
So they're still getting
cheaper than Jamaican coffee, yeah. But
I could do.
If they made it, if they made it to that, where it's more expensive or as expensive as Jamaican coffee, then that would definitely kill them, because the margin would be so destroyed at that point.
Because when I saw the article about it, and I thought that the increase was really dramatic, because they were increasing it from like 15% to like 30% for it to be Jamaican coffee, and I was like, that's a
requirement.
The requirement, and I'm like, that's a dramatic increase, you know, and it was very sudden as well. So I'd love to hear what the outcome of that is.
All right. So I think that the cess is giving Salada a rough time. They are lobbying with the government, and they will eventually, I think, find some parity, but it is hitting them in the books for a while. And we've seen the drop in profit. From it. You know, funny enough, I like it. I like the overall effect of it, though, because it caused them to make their business more efficient. They had to. Yeah, if you remember going right up to the implementation of the cess, the business just kept cutting expenses more and more, meaning they got more and more efficient. But you can't grow a company by cutting it. Yeah, you have to at some point you have to grow by actually growing. So, I mean, look at that. Admin expenses, same period last year versus now. 33 million last year, 35 million this year. 35.7 million this year. That is holding the ship tightly, you know. Promotional expenses have gone up almost 70% though, selling and promotional expenses. And that could mean that maybe you are calling a lot more of your admin expenses selling and promotional, or it could mean that, you know, you have to work harder to market your product because you have to sell it elsewhere. And they have said that their sales overseas have gone up, and marketing overseas does cost a little bit more. So I was seeing where they push the Mountain Bliss or whatever. But yeah, coffee, nice. Salada, nice. Still profitable, but not anywhere near the tune of where it was before. And I should tell people what that looks like, by the way. It's a big drop. It's big enough to mention, right? So in the 3 months last year up to 2019, they had made 76 million in comprehensive income. That's total profit. And in the 3 months up to this year, 2020, they have made 6.2 million. So 70 million just burn up, just like that. That's how you can tax a company into death. But we'll see what comes out of it, because the funny thing is, if Salada goes, what's going to replace them? Anyway, do not say a company name.
They have good leadership still, so it's interesting.
No, they have strong leadership.
Yeah, it's
strong connected leadership.
Yeah.
Strong leadership. Legendary leadership, if anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Indeed.
So the next company is the one that I will lead. I know the 876 guys ready for this one. Sygnus Credit Investments Jamaica Limited.
Yeah, man. Let them talk and we don't say anything.
Yeah, man. You guys can take this one completely. Who wants to start it? Schaunn, Nicholas, or Henel?
I think this one is Dundas supposed to get the most talking on this one.
Oh yeah, say.
Yeah, no, I don't really think so. I think it's Henel, but I mean, I'll just say a little bit. I'm a Sygnus shareholder. Sygnus takes up, I don't want to say how much, but let's say, yeah, I'm a Sygnus shareholder.
Jaja, the man sound like him on that.
Virgin, yeah.
Boy, pressure.
I'm gonna tell you still, I'm more than 50% in portfolio.
More than 50% of your portfolio?
Yeah, like
I understand them ways.
But we rate them differently. Tell you the truth. I liked. I think even now, I was talking about it earlier, where non-cash losses don't phase me, and that's another reason why I don't really have much to fear about Sygnus. I think Sygnus is positioning themselves with wide arms to profit from Jamaica's rise, and you know, obviously outside Jamaica as well. I think that they how do I put this? Sygnus. All right, so one, I think that the loan portfolio is going to grow immensely now with the recovery of companies who are hurt from coronavirus. That's something that I look forward to seeing. What else do I mention?
I said that confidently, though, boy.
Yeah, I mean, do you disagree?
No. I've had millions in and out of Sygnus over the last couple of months too. You can't. I'm not. You're not gonna hear me cussing them out. I think they're a strong company. I don't own them now, but I think they're a strong company.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of timing for Sygnus, in my opinion, because as I said, and Sygnus is the reason why it had come to my attention how people like to look at net profit and not cash flow, which I can understand based on a dividend standpoint, and dividend. Sygnus typically pays decent dividends. Well, they have.
Well, for me, they pay great dividends. I won't even touch that point.
But
I see them use me as an ad for one of them dividend points. So big them up for that. But going to that point that you just mentioned about looking at the net profit.
Okay,
don't be fooled by. You go ahead, Dan.
I want to hear what you're saying, though. Go on, man.
Well, I was saying, don't be fooled by people looking. I can say, at least I speak for myself and Dana on the show. Don't be fooled by us looking at net profit to think that that's all we look at, right? We look at the entirety of the business. However, we have to look at, you see, the same way you realize that everybody look at net profit is the same way we realize everybody look at net profit. And we're going to look at whatever everybody looks at, because that's what you make your decisions on. You know what I've never heard anybody say? That's not true. I was going to say I've never heard anybody say that they're buying a company because of this cash position. In fact, no, it is true. I've never heard them say that. I've heard people buy the company, and then when the company is going through obvious rough P&L times, I hear them speak about the cash position as a
clutch.
But you have to understand how I look at it practically, right? I have
I'm not
never seen
saying
a company go, hey, we have a lot of cash on our books. Profits are down. But here's what we're going to do, Randy. We're going to pay out a 40% dividend. They're never going to do that, right? That cash position is good to know. And they teach it in accounting because it's your job, if I hire you as my accountant, to tell me that I am running out of cash. Right? But me as an investor, I'm never really going to see even a majority of that cash. So I only care to know that you can cover your bills and that you're solvent.
And
past
make
that
sure
point,
that cash going to somewhere that giving me more money. And very often,
and that's why I look.
There's nothing ironic. Very often, when I hear people talking about the cash position, they're not talking about what they can do with the cash position. They're just talking about the cash position.
Just a number.
That's why. So Sygnus, Sygnus is one I can show that. That's the reason why I look, because I don't think it was the period last report. It was one before that where I had noticed. I think it was like an 8 times increase in income from investments. I think they had like 15. I'm not sure if it was million on in dry powder, as they would call it, and then the period after that. Wait, that same period they had received about 2 million. The period after they invested it and received about 7, 8 or something. A whole lot.
Wait,
and I respected like how I always look. So Sygnus, I talk about cash and I don't want it to be mistaken. And you think that I ignore net profit. I definitely don't ignore it.
No, I know you don't. I've spoken to you before. I know you have sense.
Doing that. I don't think you guys do either. I mean, like, direction comes from net profit. And I think that as much as I can appreciate how important it is, I think that we should be able to, especially if you have investors who are thinking long term, you should be able to look past a loss if you know why the loss was incurred, knowing that the company would typically invest their cash well,
guess what? All right, so look on this to me though. You and I have different. You can't say somebody should be able to look past a loss. You have different goals of the company. You have different timelines of the person. You can't tell me what is important to me. I can only go. I'm going what's important to me. You what's important to you. If it's important for you to stay in the company despite whatever, then do it. But you can't tell me that, boy, say should I do this? No, I'm doing what I'm doing. You're deciding that despite what I'm doing, you're doing your thing. Cool.
So what I do is realize what's going on and take advantage of it. So I know that Sygnus, they will incur non-cash losses. It's just a part of the line of the business. That's for me.
And it's still a loss. I think people. I hear people do that. People get up and say non-cash losses aren't losses. If I make a loss on investments, then guess what? It's just like you Nicholas, buying into a stock and the stock go down and then you're out of it and you made a loss. You still made a loss. People need to stop doing that thing there. Anyway, again, their big loss came from the thing, their FX. Every day we talk about the FX rate in Jamaica. Jamaica, we love the FX rate. We love and we hate it. We love to talk about how much money we made on our US holdings when things go up. And we hate when boys just hold them. We just made some Jamaican dollars and US dollar gone up. And we have to convert to it. And boys, the better barley now because the rate gone up. How is it now that when Sygnus did it, we have a lot of people ignoring that and saying, boy, the FX loss, whatever. I don't hear people that try to discount. I don't hear the same people the same energy with FX losses and FX gains. Investment losses, non-cash losses and non-cash gains don't get the same energy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, naturally you can't expect it to. People pretty the same.
That's not natural. That's cherry picking.
That's cherry picking.
Man, I gotta look excuse. But that's okay for me at least. Well, from my standpoint, because I know what I expect from Sygnus.
Exactly.
And I think
that's
cool. It's land and business and it is significant and I can't ignore how significant it is. And if I made it seem like that's the case, then whoever's listening, that's not the case. It is significant, it's a land business and we cannot ignore it. In an FX loss, that's a non-cash loss, yes. You don't want to hear the word non-cash loss, but it is what it is. And yes, I would try to make it seem insignificant because I don't put as much importance on it as the cash losses, but it is a line of the business and we can't ignore it, especially for Sygnus, since it's a part of the business.
Yeah.
But I still, since I can see that they generally do employ cash well, I don't have an issue because I know why it happened. So with my understanding of Sygnus, it's okay for me to see a $500 million loss, knowing that that's just how it goes. In a few years,
that's crazy.
No, you lose me this.
You lose me right. That's a 500 million.
That's rich man talking.
All right, I'm exaggerating.
You're exaggerating,
but you get the thing.
think about this. Yeah, if I hire my accountant, if my finance director or my finance manager come to me and say it's a $500 million loss, but that's okay.
That's.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
you're handing
Let
me
me
your
not say
resignation now,
we
or
change
Yeah,
something.
clearly.
We change some FX and $500 million. No, my vex. We are talking about. You should
no,
not do
man.
that.
It's your job to avoid that for me.
Let's just ignore it.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to feel like we're beating you up either, because
Oh, no,
you're
sir.
not necessarily wrong. If my finance director can also come to me and say, "Yo, the loss is 500 million," and I can go, "Oh, that's great," because can we? That's for the year. Yeah, that's great. So we get to book this as a tax benefit. Yep.
Right.
That might, if that's our plan, that's fine. But I don't want unplanned losses. And bringing it back to Sygnus specifically, remember why they call cash dry powder is because they literally use cash as their business. So cash takes on a different role for them. So I can understand it being great and the need to pay attention to their cash position.
All right, so that's my actual issue with the non-cash loss that Sygnus takes. So it's an FX. So this FX loss is very often a more real, a closer non-cash loss than, say, an investment loss in a bond that eventually pays out all the money you should have paid out. Cool? You took an e-sale on that one, but eventually actually got the money you wanted to get. So in reality, you never actually lost any money. Cool? FX loss. Sygnus invests. So Sygnus, if they're changing money from Jamaican to US, right? So that means they have a US investment that they want to go into. Cool? If they're changing, if they got Jamaican dollars on this day and it's worth 50 million US, and then by tomorrow, it's worth, when they actually need it, and they actually can change it, it's worth 30 million US. They actually made a loss and they have less money available to invest in the ventures. So that's a very real loss to them. Every Jamaican dollar that comes into that business, if they're looking at a US dollar investment, is a problem to them. When they get a Jamaican dollar, if they get Jamaican dollars and boy, suppose the rate does do something tomorrow that I can't read or anything about, then they have a problem. They have a real problem with that, because when they change it out, I have less money to invest. If they invested it at 50, if they change the money at 50 million versus the 30 million, then they have more money to push forward. It's just more dry powder. The conversion really affects them. It actually affects the business.
Yeah. But that's, again, don't take that to say that means that Sygnus is in any issue.
Yeah, because I love that company. Sygnus is great.
Actually, the biggest thing I thought you'd have mentioned this, Dundas. The biggest thing that actually struck me was that they actually had a placement with a company. How much was it, Dan? I think like 4 billion, or did I have that wrong? 4 billion, and they had to right as Corona hit. I think they cancelled it.
Like
they mutually decided that, listen, we don't know how things might be, and this person here being the company, not Sygnus. So the company decided, listen, how things are, maybe it's not the best time for us to take this on now. Sygnus look at it and say, hey, you know what, you might be right, so we took it back. And so you see, you guys look at the cash flow statements, I think you'd have seen where the money actually was put back.
Yeah.
So they got back the money, and I don't have time to read the whole thing, but I want to get that number right. I believe it's 3 billion. Dry powder.
Billion or million?
Mil, correct. It's million, but it's US millions. So that should be clear. Sygnus reports in US dollars. So it's 3 point odd million that was sent to a portfolio company that was sent back. But I said earlier that during Corona times, those who have cash is a great time for them. Yeah, and I don't think the Sygnus guys are sleeping on anything. Also, I believe they're going to push forward on the APO and so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was approved and we never get a date.
Yeah, I think Corona kind of slowed it up as well.
Yep.
Corona did slow it up, but you notice now they came back to tell you, what, it's the third time them reminding us tonight. That thing that we told you about. Yeah, the thing that we told you about, the APO, we're going to ask for your approval soon. Then they go, that thing that we told you about, we asked for the approval. The thing that we asked for the approval for, we got the approval. Hey, we got that approval that we told you we got, and we're gonna come with that. They keep reminding us. Just put it out now. So the man who play chicken, they want somebody run out first.
Yep.
Somebody need to run out and do an APO quickly, or do an IPO and remind us that Jamaicans have money. Barita set the trend as always. But That's in the B's, and we are now in the S's. So Sygnus, we'll keep it at Sygnus. But I think somebody will run out soon and break this deadlock. But I heard your views, Dundas. I don't know if Henel or Schaunn.
Yeah, I like Sygnus as well. Currently a shareholder. I have a bit of a longer timeline on them because I just think the business makes sense. That they're looking into alternative financing with a focus on medium-sized businesses in the region. I think that space has a whole heap of room to grow. And as a result of that, as I said before, my timelines aren't necessarily as short. So I will look for specific things that I see and that I like. So right now, I like the way how they've been deploying their money, the way how their portfolio diversifies, the way how they keep reducing the amount of money that they have in Jamaica. Since they report in US dollars, they say, look, the Jamaican portfolio was killing us on FX, so they keep trying to diversify so that they have less risk on that. So I really like the way how they're going about it, and I think the leadership is smart. And I think there's just continuous good things to come from them.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I like the company as well. I think the space they're in, as Shauna said, is one that has been underserved for quite some time in Jamaica. I wouldn't be surprised if, especially because of Corona, one of the loans or one or more of the loans become a non-performing loan, because I think currently they have none. But I still think they're a very good company because they're trading below book value. Still trading below book value. So overall, I think it's a very solid company. The leadership again, Jason, I call those guys brilliant. So I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
Well, it's not a say bad or good, because kind of show it up. Yeah.
So if it's something is how it is, and it's actually bad, so you go. You're not saying anything bad or good about the company. Just saying true.
Yeah.
Please, we need to start separating that emotional and that personal thing from the analysis of a company. Sygnus itself is an amazing company doing amazing things, but I sold all my Sygnus shares some time ago, right? Because I didn't want to take any more of a hit, and I thought I could make better growth elsewhere, and I'm happy I did. And
that lost the opportunity, to be honest, because next year or whenever, when things are normalized and we're not having those type of things, those shocks hitting the company again, then they're very well in a position where you have a loss compared to the same period, a profit compared to this loss last year ago. You're good.
Yeah, man. Exactly. So and the truth is, the man have more money on hand now than they did last year. And after the APO, they'll have even more money. And we know that all these guys take money for is to make more money on it. So in terms of, looking over a time period, in my view, of a year or more, Sygnus is a great stock to hold. But was it a great stock to hold between the end of February and now? No, that February drop was that early March, that late February, early March drop is a hell of a cliff.
And Q2 might not be so nice to them. Q2,
it fell from 26
might come in heavy. Or as
so that again, sorry, Dana, I don't want to talk over you. I think we got a little mix there.
Sorry. I say Q2 might not be so nice to them. It might just be great, to be honest. But if they have, as Henel said, suppose a non-performing loan just comes out of nowhere and e-sales, they hit them, it might not be so great for them. But if you're moving beyond that, and when they're coming back in, as you said, they have more cash than ever, so they can make good more cash than last year. They can invest properly. They can invest. They can reach out to make good investments. They should be fine. Sygnus, everybody knows about this company. So.
Yeah. And hey, right now in the time, they can save a couple of companies that just need cash to be saved, and they might get a deal at a much better rate than they would have gotten it before. So definitely. I really like them over the time period of a year and more. But I didn't like them they fell from 25, 26, all that wicked drop all the way down to 80, and I think it hit 15 at one point.
Yeah.
And it's still in that little range. It's in the 16. It's at $16 now, but yeah, they are, in my view, undervalued. But I believe they could also have their next quarter be a rough one. And that's the April to June quarter. So let's see. Yeah, remember when it comes to this thing, man, it's not feelings, it's facts. Yeah, it's not the people, it's the company itself. Yeah. You think if someone is offering me 10% of Sygnus now, and I could afford it, I wouldn't buy it? 10% of the whole company? I'll take that immediately. Maybe that's what John Jackson was seeing with QWI. Maybe him look at him and say, yo, this thing is going to be great in 2023. Let's take the hit now, guys. Yeah. I'm hoping that's it. But watch and see on QWI.
Remember Corona was at the time when they took the position in access to.
Yeah, I went back. That's a good point, Dana. I should say that because at the time when we were talking, I don't remember much that I had chopped up, but at the time when we were talking, I think I was saying that to Dimitri that he wouldn't have known. We didn't know that. At least I don't know if I knew at that point that Access had taken a stake in them, but we did know that the sale had already happened and done.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if we knew that QWI had taken such a heavy stake in them. I think that came out, in Access. I think that came out a lot after. So I just wanted to make sure we said that to cover it so people don't think that we're dreaming these things up.
Yeah.
But Sygnus, I mean, continues to love it. Sygnus is one of those companies, that you find the industry people, everybody in the industry talk to everybody else in the industry about it. And become this little echo chamber where we're all saying, oh, I love Sygnus. Oh, I do love Sygnus. Sygnus is good. Those guys are great. Who is buying the stock? We're not buying the stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those same Sygnus are great people. Ask them how much of them sell.
I mean, I had to sell other people.
You had to sell, but you still hold, right?
I repositioned. I sold at 26 and I got back at 15.
That's so
nice. But you see,
I wish I was you.
Yeah. You know have for worry about my lord. You are. Yeah, you're good. That you shouldn't even have to try to convince people about the goodness. When I do them things, when I reposition that in companies, I don't try to convince somebody about the goodness of it. I just wait. I just wait.
It's very often that we get the feedback. No, it don't go so, and then I realize that we don't need that now. It's cool, do you think?
Yeah, we just wait.
I remember when we initially spoke about Sygnus, we never really get much love on that until things were starting becoming obvious, right?
Yes, and then all of a sudden everybody talking about it. Sygnus, no, you know what's going to happen? Look, wait a couple of months and watch out between QWI and Fontana with the surprise profits.
Oh, you remember that Sygnus third, Randy?
Which one?
One
that I did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did too. I explained. I have not explained any company since then. Just
remember what happened after, right?
Yeah, I remember that when after I had it, I believe a lot of people saw the value and ran in to buy it.
Yep, right to 30.
Definitely profited off that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, well, you guys,
people.
I'm glad that
the common story in the industry that Sygnus is hard to understand.
Yeah, the business model is hard to understand. Yeah, well, that sentence is popular.
Yeah,
it's true.
You hear that about
if they say so.
Yeah,
man, love it, man. Sygnus, man, it's very complicated. It's hard to understand.
If they say so.
I just figure that they can't. The people they hear saying it can't explain. But what's next?
The market doesn't understand it. So next up we have SELECTF, SALF.JA Select Funds. We actually haven't spoken about this in a long time,
to be honest, but cool.
Yeah, SALF.JA Select Funds is an amalgamation of the stocks on the JSE's financial index,
and they try to weight in the same way that it's weighted across the actual index. So they try to mock. It's a mock index of sorts.
Exactly. Yeah. What's important for me to note here, which is something that I was saying from before them lists, as told many times as incorrect, and I mean, you have a quarrel, it just comes out. They are not trying to do anything with SELECTF. They're not trying to buy and sell it to get it back at a cheaper rate. They literally just buy it and leave it.
Yep.
No, I'm sure somebody in Sagicor might know that. No, well, we might do a little, but I'm not even going to go into the deep details of that. As far as anybody is concerned on the front end, all SELECTF is a grouping of stocks that should match the financial index. So if we know, like right now, it would make sense if you own a lot of NCB. I could see it making sense if you own a lot of NCB to maybe sell it and wait for any dip in case they have an ECL and a dip in price, in case, right? And then buy back in later. Kind of like what Dundas did with Sygnus. Sell at 26 and buy back at 15. Now him have more for the same money. You wouldn't be unusual to see like a SELECTF do that with like an NCB or the same Sygnus shares. But no, they just hold it. So all of them know it coming, all of them know the hit coming, then just hold it.
Yep, the
Then
index
go into the hits and then come on. Exactly. And so I think when you're talking about SELECTF, what you're really talking about is either just the highlights hitting them, anything in terms of the highlights of what's affecting their holdings, and what your overall view of the sector is. That's what I think about SELECTF, the sector stock. So I mean, I don't know if I talk, I might color the conversation. So I'll ask one of the guests if they can give their view. Dundas or Henel, I see you unmuted. One of you can start off.
I don't think there's that much to say about the Select, really. Just really, as you said, to mirror the index. So it's really, what's happening with NCB and stuff. That's what that's really what it is, to be honest.
Yeah, you pretty okay. I like that, and it's what's happening with their share price.
Yeah. I mean, we see what's happening. We spoke about it earlier about the whole expected credit losses expected in that sector. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, year to date, I don't think that the sector has been doing that well. NCB leads the sector, as you said, and NCB leads the sector, and if NCB leads the sector, whatever happened to NCB happened to everybody else, and NCB continues to be down. I don't think it has had a dip. I don't think it has ever had a dip this heavy in definitely not in recent history. Meaning the dip from the 200 and odd down to where we are now at 133. And Sagicor, Jamaica, is it Sagicor that's the second one, or is it Scotia? It is Sagicor, right? I think it's Sagicor.
It's Sagicor and then Scotia.
Yeah. So Sagicor is looking sorry. Sagicor is looking not that heavy. Why am I not seeing it? Sorry. I need to get this fixed. Okay, so Sagicor I know is also, I mean, the whole finance sector is looking kind of pressured, right? There's no two ways about it. They're looking kind of pressured, meaning they have ECLs coming, and they know that they have ECLs not just from their own core business, but also from some of their holdings. And we know that sector is, I don't know if incestuous is the right word, but they hold a lot of similar instruments and a lot of themselves. So they do reflect, some of them have the reflection of losses from one to the other. Sagicor themselves, the share price is down heavily.
I don't know.
Yeah. Could repeat that?
It's about 45 now. That's all. Crazy.
Yes, it is at 45.53, and it started the year at, what is this? 72.58. Wow, started at 72.58, now at 45.53. I said 72.28? 72.58. And that's, so it's down almost 40%. It's 62% of its value is where it's at now. Can you imagine that? You had $1 million in, you now have $627,000 in there. But that's not a real loss, right? Yeah, God, boy. But you see the reality of it. If you have any reason to recognize it, even if it's just that you own the shares and you borrowed against them, right? You might get a margin call. Yeah, your collateral is worth 40% less, roughly 40% less. And that's on the Sagicor side. And Sagicor is I don't know if could we call them a growing company? Could still call them a growing company. They're in a tight and a growing industry. Sagicor Jamaica. And NCB is NCB. Would have to beat that dead horse. It's growing, but right now it has some losses to look forward to. I think the more exciting players in the finance industry are the smaller players.
More room to grow. And they have to grow. Yeah. They have to grow this. They have 5 sectors to be worrying about. So
yes. Yeah. But no, maybe they do. Like JMB would be the biggest of the small guys.
I was about to ask if you consider them.
Yeah. Say that again.
I was about to ask if you consider JMB as a small guy.
Yeah, man. I consider NCB to be the big guy. I consider Sagicor and Scotia to be second and third. And after that, everybody. Yeah, after that, everybody's small. But is JMB still small? That's a great question.
I want to find the actual figure, but we were talking about it one day, and when I had seen how much assets are under management by JMB in comparison to anybody else, I didn't know that it was so close. I don't want to say something else. I'm gonna find it first, but it was a lot more than I expected.
Okay, so that's how you wanted to measure them, not by market cap, by assets under management, which is fine.
Oh well, if it's market cap, then
no, yeah,
yeah.
But assets under management is a measure of a company's size also. I believe on that measure, Scotia is second.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. It's memory I'm working from also. I know sometimes they're different. So what you find is that I remember a couple of years, you'd have like Scotia saying, oh, we're the second biggest or the biggest or the second biggest. And then you'd have, and somebody else would be number 3, and the number 3 person would also say they're second biggest, but they're not measuring by assets under management. They're measuring by whatever allows them to be second. Right? Yeah. It's a good measure, and yes, JMB does have a lot of assets under management. I can't knock that, which is a good measure of their ability to generate revenue.
Yeah, but if you think about it, assets under management is heavily tied to JMB's business, which is mostly investments. Look at NCB, which is banking, insurance, it's the whole financial suite. So you can't really, I can't use that as the point of comparability to say JMB is up there with Scotia, Sagicor, and NCB. Assets under management. What are assets under management exactly?
Yeah, but if you consider Sagicor Financial Corporation to be JMB is associated, so it's under the JMB group.
That's where that was my point of saying, boy, maybe the mobile still. They're reaching they're dipping into the jar.
Wait, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with that one. You're right, because I can't say no. It's a great question, Dundas. What do you guys think?
It's a damn good question.
If they are reaching the levels of because of them
no, just your actual question. Like, is JMB still a small player?
I don't think so. No, I think JMB is a big player now, because we're not looking at JMB for investments anymore. We're looking at JMB Group Limited, and that's going to.
But how much sway do they have as a banking group? Because how the commercial bank looking compared to the big guys?
It's budding, so we can't really drive.
Budding sounds small.
I think.
That's my thing. I'm like, them establishing investments, banking and such is still young. So
I agree.
I think if you put banking, then I'd put them as young. But for financial overall, I don't know if I'd put them as small overall. I'd say them expanding. So they're trying to get big. Yeah, you're probably still small. But
they're the biggest of the small.
Growing. Yeah, they're like the biggest of the small.
Yeah, they're like a teenager.
That's it. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I want to say they're the smallest.
They're the middle child.
They're in that transition, right?
I take your point. That because the banking is new and it's fresh, can't really put stuff among the levels. But if you're supposed to, we can already say that based on top 3, they're I don't want to say far apart, but they're different. Yeah.
No, but we have to still. We have to still because NCB have cap markets, them have insurance, them have the bank as well. So you have to do it. If you're gonna compare everything, you're gonna compare everything.
That's true.
And I'm thinking that because JMB is getting here, and we're not looking at just investment anymore. Even though that the bank is small and the group is not as powerful as a group as
they do insurance too.
Yeah, so they are extending the reach.
I think there's the small. I think I would say they're the biggest of the small personally, because they do those other things, but it's growing. It's very much growing. When you're comparing across the companies, you have to really compare everything, because Like, for example, I know somebody who bought a car recently using JMMB, and they said they didn't know that JMMB did insurance. And when they said it to me, it even shocked me because I have been a JMMB shareholder on and off. And when I was, like, it didn't even connect in my brain that JMMB did insurance because I have them as the investment company and the bank. So those other sectors are really young and growing. So I think saying that they're the biggest of the small, I think if you have to compare them with the sector, you have to compare everything that they do. So you can't say they're established in investments and so they're big in investments, but the bank is 2-3 years old, for example, and then you say, oh well, the bank is small, but the investment is big. I don't know if that's really fair to the other guys who do it and to the industry as well, even to yourself analyzing it. Like,
that's true, because you might not analyze it correctly, but
you're
right in that one product that you have from there might cause them to lead into another one. And further to your point, let's not also get blindsided by just Jamaica. Right? They're not just in Jamaica.
True, Trinidad and everything.
They're in Trinidad, they're in Domrep. They do pensions in Domrep, I think. In Trinidad, they actually have a commercial bank. They had a commercial bank in Trinidad before they had one in Jamaica. And now with them having an associate in insurance, that is also a major thing, right? And an associate that pays out US dollar dividends. Yeah, I mean, they receive about $500,000 worth of US dollar dividends already just in this year in 2020 from their Sagicor Financial. But you said comparison. They group on their segment report. I believe they group the financial and related services, and they separate the banking and related services, right? So banking, they pull in revenue of 7.7 billion up to the end of last year, 2019, 31st of December, which was their 9 months. So they have their full year report yet, because that has been delayed. I suspect it'll be delayed until Q1 is ready. But they currently have 7.7 billion coming from that, and it is profitable to the tune of 1 billion. And well, it's almost unfair to compare them to NCB's bank, right? But what I wanted to say with that is that you have to remember that, like for NCB, my personal view, consumer banking is like a loss leader to keep their name out there, right? And of course, to pull revenue and the power that the license gives them. But I mean, the bank, all right, the bank make a loss up to March 31st. NCB, the bank, the consumer section, actually made a loss, $275 million loss, right? So I'm not really looking for JMMB to suddenly be grand in consumer banking. I don't expect banking to actually be that strong a sector anymore in terms of profits, right? Nobody's looking for you to make a whole heap of money anymore off you can't give me a whole heap of fees, because that's bad PR. You know, you're doing it already. You can't fly it up to increase your profits from fees. And you can't make a great spread off of the loans anymore, because competition is forcing you to keep loan rates within a certain level, right? If it's a 10% loan, there's a certain percentage that just cannot come to you. So you might eat in maybe 3 out of the 10% as profit. Again, that's a margin business right there, which is why NCB's growth has come from the corporate side of the banking game, and of course the
investments, cap markets.
Investments, exactly, cap markets, investment, the wealth and asset management
right now. So
and insurance, exactly. Insurance is going to be the thing that flies in both life and general. So maybe that tweet is we're coming back to it again and again, which is insurance is the new banking. Yeah, that's where the real growth, I think, can come for the sector. But until the growth comes for both NCB and Sagicor and JMMB, you're not going to necessarily see a huge jump, in my view, in SelectF, unless some grand news within the finance space causes people to expect things from the companies and then jump onto the share price. But just looking at what I expect as I see the industry going forward, they have a couple quarters. Because think about this. We know that we just said that NCB, Scotia, Sagicor, all of these guys, GNAC, all of them have some amount of losses, ECLs that they're going to have to report, right? So it's no surprise if the next few quarters involve them having heavier losses, right? Nobody's surprised if they hear that. So if those next few quarters have a next few losses and the Select F follows the entire sector, can't expect the sector to kind of stay down.
Indeed.
And yeah, I know it might seem kind of simple, but that's how I look at it.
I mean, it's just the truth.
Yeah, there's just no unless something major comes along and blows it out of the water. And the thing that was supposed to do that was Select F. What was Sagicor Financial, but that arrived just in time for Corona.
Yeah, and one other thing too that kind of affect them was the dividend policy. So any dividends they would get from NCB and Sagicor would be delayed. So that would affect them as well.
Well, all the big dogs in this,
the big dogs,
in this sector can't pay out a dividend, and we see where that actually affected Select F's decision to pay a dividend.
Yeah.
Even though they're receiving, so you can't knock it out. It's the thing that hurt you might end up helping you later on. Even though they are receiving strong dividends, because they did, like JMB did receive those dividends from Sagicor Financial.
Yeah.
As far as I know, right? So, but they have that money on their books. Also, they have the money that they would have usually paid out as a dividend also on their books. So a whole heap of cash sitting there. When things kind of ease up, they might be able to do something interesting with it, or maybe even before. Who knows?
That's true.
But as it is now, I have no great love of it. I actually had a large position in Select F some time ago. I no longer have it. And when things look up, maybe I'll go back in.
Hi everyone, this is Jillian, aka at Miss Jilly J on Twitter. I'm having virtual Excel intermediate and advanced classes this week. It's August the 15th for intermediate, August the 17th for advanced. They're online. Sign up through my website, Financial Sensibility, Financial CENTSIBILITY.com, financialsensibility.com. See you there.
And in the same vein, the next stock that we have is SELECTM.JA, which is the next fund. Yeah. A little better balance though, no? Isn't it better balance than the
Yeah, you have a huge weight, the large weighting. It's there, but not to the extent that it is anything there. F.
What is the NCB of SELECTM? MD, the Manufacturing and Distribution Index.
I think it's Wysinco, right?
Wysinco, you have GK in there.
Oh yeah, GK.
Yeah, you have big dogs like GK in there too. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It could be Wysinco. The JSC does have their fund page up.
Do they tell you weightings?
Yes, they do tell you their weighting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would swear to it, but they do tell you the weighting. So. Yeah, and the weighting that they have, the biggest one is those two, Wysinco and GK, but they're close to each other. Yeah.
Is that more the index or SELECTMD?
Well, they tell. What do you mean? You mean does SELECTMD tell us the weighting of their holdings?
I mean for JC still, so cool.
Well, I look on the JC page, but I'll be honest, I don't trust any of them. So I take everything with a grain of salt. So I don't know if this is just the weighting that they have there, if it's updated or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're at a NAV of 79 cents currently, and their stock price is 80 cents. This is one that you're saying, is close.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah. But I think this is close just accidentally.
Why you think that?
I think people are trading around enough?
Not necessarily, but I think people have a little more confidence in it because of the nature of it. So you know that
really
what they call are companies that will be operating at a consistent level through Corona. So I think that's the idea, but I don't think it necessarily tracks the NAV.
Okay, but why do you think that? You think it tracks companies that will be operating at a consistent level?
Well, no, not
throughout.
Yeah. Continue.
Throughout Corona.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the two big, 30% of its makeup is is a little over 30% is Wisynco and GK, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then right behind that you have Carreras with 8%, so 38. And Carib Cement with another 10 point odd, so it's a 48. So roughly half of it. In fact, I'll throw in the other big dog too, which is Seprod.
Mm-hmm.
So between Seprod, Carib Cement, Carreras, GK, and Wisynco, you have almost 60%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Almost 60% of the fund right there, right? So do you think, so you're saying that you believe that those companies will continue to have the profit output that they have had for the last few years? You don't think Corona will affect them? How realistic is that?
I don't think it will the profit will increase. I think it will be more of a flat quarter. Well, the next 2 quarters really.
Okay. But with the consideration of what they all right, let's say GK is in. So okay, when you consider something like GK, I'll take GK on its own.
Yeah.
GK is money from abroad.
Yeah.
Really, that's where they make the mass of the money. And we've heard where that has dipped 20%. That's the last time I heard that has dipped. Now, I did hear that like direct to bank has gone up. That's a funny thing too. I think that they may not have gotten the heavy hit that we may have feared.
Yeah, because interesting story.
Go ahead.
Interesting story. I actually do business through that the Western Union, and before huh? Oh no, I thought somebody said something. So before so before like when I used to use it, it was a bit cumbersome at times because you'd have to like call in and give you information every time somebody has sent something for you. But now it goes literally direct to your bank, so you don't have to call anybody. It's all electronic now. So they've really streamlined that service.
You think about stuff like that and you wonder, what was the point of that hurdle?
Yeah, like I don't get it. I don't know if it's because of, certain things. Like I get you guys know what I'm talking about, but yeah.
The chopper phone business.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was it. I don't know if that was it, but this does certainly
increase
put
efficiency.
An impediment. Yeah, it increases efficiency and it puts an impediment in the way of the chopper phone business because a bank account does have a certain amount of identity tied to it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And they did say that business has increased with them, but Danai's point I think was something else.
What was the point, Danai?
I'm not sure. Which one?
Oh, sorry, no. Okay, I thought you were saying something along the lines of as to how much that has impacted their business, though. The popularity of their business, because I don't know. I mean, we've heard about the heavy unbanked. So being able to send money to a bank account doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to catch everybody, because heavy unbanked.
Heavy unbanked, yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, GK is two things: food and finances. And the finance side of things might do well in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. It might be very exciting in 2 or 3 months. However, if they're a finance group, then they face the same ECL pressure. Well, so what do you think? What do you think about that?
What's the bulk of the finance revenue from?
You're taking out money transfers?
Money transfer not going to, as I said, money transfer wouldn't face ECLs they wouldn't be facing ECLs.
No, but it would just fall. However, there is more within the group. And depending on the makeup.
So in the place, okay, I get what you're saying. There's an expense line in places where in other places more than just fall out. Okay, I get you.
Yeah. I remember they have heavy insurance, Yeah.
Especially
heavy. Yeah, and they got more. So that is a nice iffy thing as to what could be happening within them. Wisynco might be more straightforward. How you guys feel about that?
Wisynco, I expect Wisynco to do well. Not
actually, we can use it.
Wow.
Okay, continue. Okay, so we can use it to jump to Wisynco And then
Well,
jump
yeah,
back.
I mean, yeah,
Or you,
we can touch on.
okay.
Talk and we
No,
see
you can touch on Wisynco now. Either one works. So if you have a point on it, you can tell us now.
Okay. I think they do well in the same line because they've been operating consistently throughout this entire period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see I don't see an item or anything that has affected their business significantly for me to say they'll have a bad quarter.
What about schools?
What?
What about party? What about
Yeah, that's my
hotel?
fear with them. Big things like corporate clients, hotels, schools,
Yep.
and everything there.
Let me
So
say,
I
Wisynco
know there's
hotels
an
are
increase in consumer consumption. It's my fear with both Wisynco and Seprod, where I know people who have been home are buying more, but I don't know if they've been
Can they
buying
make up for the
enough
fall?
more to match up for the fall off
Match-
from those
match up
other
on more.
clients.
Match up on more. Cause
Match up on more.
yeah, hotel
Exactly.
not buying the
We
water.
all
They
want.
open the hotel fridge and you see water, you see Sprite, you see Coca-Cola. That's
Coca-Cola,
Wisynco.
everything.
School's not there anymore, and party stop keep. You know how water was in the party space. That's not there. So what we make up for that fall?
Yeah, so I think we need to not fall into the risk that I see happens all the time with the industry guys when they talk. You say it because it's so nice and it's natural, and we just don't think about it because you think, like even you said it just now, yeah, you just say no, not just that, because that does happen. And I'm not going to not that, but you just say, like Wisynco has been operating as normal, but they haven't really. It's Corona time. Nobody could be operating as normal. School stopped early. There was no early parties early in the year. There's no carnival. There's no summer parties happening right now. People now flying from foreign, and that's just on our side of things. On the tourist side of things, which bring more people here, nothing. 2.8 million people in Jamaica. 4 million tourists come through Jamaica every year. In addition to the 2.8 or 2.9 million Jamaicans that live here. 4 million tourists, all right, or visitors to the island every year. And for the first 6 months of the year, that dead. Mostly. Let's say the last 3 months are dead. February till now. That is a big lick. Now, granted, domestic can carry a lot of it, right? However, and Wisynco did say that they're looking at exports, and they started a little bit at the exports, I believe. But realistically, I mean, maybe you don't mean you're drinking more water, but I mean, I drink more water when I go out. I drink more water at the bar. Chaser, the Schweppes. I just one place sells Schweppes. I can't tell the last to get the Schweppes, right? Nobody now really do road like how they used to do road. So that must impact them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the lockdown is one thing, but the lockdowns, even the lockdowns matter. Even the parties matter, right?
Yep.
People ask why
the
we
restaurant
still have.
scene.
Yeah, the restaurant
open
scene.
back. No, it's not reopened back fully.
Exactly. People ask why we still have curfews now. I think it's to stop. I'm sure there's some crime management included.
I think it's like crime management. Corona stuff keep with that.
Yeah, but let's be serious. There is also heavy entertainment in Jamaica at night.
Yep, that was my thing.
And
like
so,
we have party every single night. So if there's a curfew
night,
and you can say, all right, you can easily figure out where party is happening, if no party is happening, and go deal with it.
Exactly. So that is actually, I think, obviously, I mean, I'm not broke, I don't know, but I think that is a huge part of why the curfew exists. But we have to consider that in terms of Wisynco now. That means if a dance keep everywhere every night, usually, but no dance now keep like one time, then it must affect them earnings, right? Yeah. And so
we've had this discussion before, we're talking about I think it was me and Schaunn as well.
Yeah,
we're saying that we're saying if it makes sense to think that the increase in domestic spending would offset the hotels, and even not offsetting the hotels, then comes entertainment that we really didn't talk about. Entertainment actually, like now I'm thinking about it, it probably was really significant for them as it relates. I mean, water specifically,
remember how much distribution points Wisynco have, brother?
Yeah,
all of them.
Like it's crazy how much product they move out and how much of it had to just stop.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Dana, you were saying something just now?
Oh,
I thought you were saying something.
No, I was saying on a party, man. So when you go to a party, the water, you don't drink any other water at a party. It's water. So
it's true,
right?
it's only water.
Do you guys have an idea of like what the breakdown is? Like how much percentage would be towards like the tourism and entertainment side of it from their distribution?
Now you're
Check annual
thinking.
report.
Check the report.
Now you're thinking.
But yes,
Yeah.
it's really good to measure on that.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep. And that's exactly how you think. What portion of their sales go to schools? What portion of their sales go to the hotel industry? Right? And that is a completely lockdown industry, right? It just now we see people going back. We're seeing people we see advertising happening for the sector, and we see it happening locally. So there's a whole heap involved in it. Imagine that. And if it continues, I wouldn't be surprised if you see. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see like layoffs at Wisynco, but I don't know the internals of Wisynco like that to say whether or not they need layoffs. I know that I've seen where they've tried over the years to try and keep their workers pretty much. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to the numbers not being able to support the team size, you have to shrink your team. Right? Yeah. And we know it hit them. If you read the last, they actually had a little bit of sensible comments. I remember from their last quarterly report. I believe they're saying that they did see some fall off in April, but they were it wasn't as bad as expected, but still, and that was April, right? Granted, we were going through some heavy lockdown. I think in April is when St. Catherine did get locked down completely.
Yeah.
So they actually had some what they call the forward-looking comments from it. Although revenues for the months of April were lower than our original targets, they were better than we had anticipated at the beginning of the month, given the circumstances, and the circumstances being Corona. Expenses for April have been reduced, and we anticipate this trend to continue for the remainder of Q4. And their Q4 is the April, May, June, I think. As we head into May and June, we should see an uptick in demand for our higher gross margin beverages, which should increase the overall gross margin back to 34 or 35% from the new low of 32%. So you notice that? Also, them higher margin things stop selling. So now that would, if I'm doing deep research on Wisynco, I start looking to see what is their higher margin products. I suspect these are the products that are around hotels and also around entertainment. I would believe. I don't know, but I'm going to assume that like water is a big one for them in terms of margin because it's theirs. And boom, there we go, right? And you got boom, Craveney, white rum, boom, and we don't even go into the thing. But yeah. You get, if that now go on, not now go on. So if the place is locked down, I think when they wrote this, they were expecting by now things would have eased up a bit. And so this is kind of why these are the kind of forces that push the ending of a lockdown, because if the man in the sell more water and boom in a brother. Yeah, and if the construction site them not open, no boom na sell.
I don't know how left off bars in markets for them. Boom.
Yeah, bars is a huge one for them, right?
Everybody a boom special.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is a consideration there for both GK, because this also hit GK, same industry, same competitors. So this also hit GK. This hit Wisynco. Who else did I say that we have? Seprod now might be a little different case. Yeah. Richard Panda look like him not care, but not find it no matter what there.
Exports. Yes,
and
they are doing exports.
But products they have, a lot of them are household items. So it's not necessarily that Wisynco where you're not buying things. They're not buying condensed milk at a party.
Is Seprod not the next company?
Yes, Seprod is our next company, so that is a good. Thank you for that. Man, segue up. So yeah, Seprod is our next company, so it's a good one to go into as we close out the Select MD point, which is that. Oh, and I don't want to feel like we're all banging the industry down, right? I agree. Where was it Dundas or was it Henel who said that? Is Henel, I think, who said that there will be some continuity of income.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to stop drinking water. We're not going to stop buying stuff. We might not buy it in the same way, so the mix might change. So they might get more sales in the supermarket and the shops, less sales from the bar. But eventually we will bounce back and these companies will survive. In the meantime, though, I mean, a downturn might just be a downturn.
I forgot to mention about Wysinka's energy plant as well. So that should offset. Yeah, that should offset some of their costs.
Their spend
or their expected decrease in income from not having the bars and schools and stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So expense basically.
Yeah, the expense can go down, but you can't grow a business through cutting expenses.
The JP snacks,
so. Again?
The JP snacks.
The JP snacks is also something major. Yeah, the distribution deal for them, right?
Well, little bit at home because of the school thing, so there may be more snacks.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a change in the consumption and a rise in the consumption.
Well, I mean, I know I've been buying more snacks personally. So I mean,
me too, my brother. Okay. Yeah, me too, brother. The corona weight finally reached me. Huh?
Yeah, not gonna lie.
Yeah. So
changing consumption because like certain markets are starting now reacting again in certain levels. So
yeah. So there is a change that has to happen. So in the short term it looks a little different. But nice segue earlier for Seprod, which is our next one. So Seprod is a little different now. How you feel about that?
I really like Seprod. Seprod currently is about half my portfolio, honestly. I don't know.
So Schaunn, hold on, Schaunn. Now you did say earlier Sygnus a half a portfolio.
No, that was
Dundas. Oh, Dundas. Okay.
No, sir. No.
So Seprod is half a portfolio.
Yeah,
strong pick again, brother man.
Yeah, I like whole heap of things I like with Seprod. I like the fact that the sugar is basically written off. So automatically, you're comparing numbers to those heavy losses that you're not comparing to. So we saw it in their what them released March quarter.
You're comparing a better business this year to a weaker business last year. Is a point that
Danny made it. Danny made it earlier.
Yeah.
So I like that. I thought about that. I think I really, really like that. We see where
significant, them.
Say that again, Dundas?
I think the amount is very significant. Schaunn mentioned the last quarter. I remember that it was 139 last year this time, and this year was just 15.
In terms of 15 million loss?
Yeah, loss
from the sugar operations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I realized there was a 6% increase in the revenue. Made a little note about that. But the net profit from the continuing operations went up 43%.
From 450 million to 647 million.
Yeah. So I was like, that with a 6% increase in revenue, that shows that they're managing expenses.
Exactly. So it means that the hits are leaving. So strong point there. But they're not sleeping on that alone. They are doing. I mean, Seprod is a massive.
Yeah, man. I see them focusing more in when I check their annual report. I see they're focusing more towards distribution. They're going to try to streamline that, build a few more warehouses, and make sure they have their distribution network really tightly set up. Yep. So I like that as well because I think that. Naturally, when you have distribution, you can manage costs again. So, that's another good
whole point of the face the consumer buy.
Indeed. I saw the exports, them pushing exports again, them export the surge milk to Trinidad where they are. We also know they've been exporting them, so them going put another one of their pivots is towards focusing on the export with Betty, Swizzle, Cool Fruit, those kind of products that they have over there. So I'm really liking the types of moves I'm seeing them make.
Agreed.
So I as I say, I have half my portfolio in there. So I'm really liking what I think they have to carry come.
And they finally finished with the dairy factory move. And
yes, that to the consolidated that.
Yeah. And what the next thing they have, so Nestle is moving back into the milk market.
Agree. Yep.
And
Nestle is partnering with Nestle came out the milk market, I didn't buy any milk at all because of how brand loyal I was until we're there when them come back, I buy back a box of milk. For years, I haven't had cereal in Jamaica at all just because of there was no Nestle milk.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they have a lactose intolerant milk now.
Yep.
Or milk, sorry,
milk.
milk for people who are lactose intolerant. Yeah, which is the majority of Jamaicans.
Not there's the majority of Jamaican milk drinkers.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. And guys, cheese is milk, and ice cream is milk,
And butter.
I have to, and butter. Yeah, I have
Which
to
is
say that
also
because
Seprod.
I know people like me tend to pretend that ice cream is a milk and that we're not lactose intolerant. Well, anyway, would I believe in that? I believe in ice cream, but I do also believe in Seprod. Yeah, strong company. Too many business lines. That milk point being regional is also a huge thing, right? And controlling the distribution, like you say, is also great. Yeah. And are they? I don't know if I have that wrong. Are they still undervalued? On a PE basis, they're 24 times, so maybe they're not undervalued. Maybe they're fairly-ish valued.
Yeah, but the thing is,
fairly
so what I'm looking for
this
is future profits. So with the sugar off the books and the new things that have coming online, then you might see a shift in the PE downward.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, keep in mind, that quarter here, the March quarter here, I think it was net profit was at up 102%. I think.
Yes,
the
it
net
was.
profit line.
That's correct. That's correct. And that is their 3-month report, right? The
3
very
months.
first quarter.
Yep. 3 months ended March
Yes.
31st.
So
I mean,
if you look ahead,
yeah.
exactly,
So if you look
24
forward,
is not
coming off of this
on the
is
same page.
yeah. It's just to me it's clear.
Even with a corona hit.
Even with a corona,
Yeah,
they're comparing to those huge losses. So even if they take a hit, I don't know if it's going to be the same kind of hit that those previous losses were putting. The kind of strain that it was putting on the books.
Yeah.
Especially as we said earlier, with their products being a lot of household products from the get go, so the hit may not be as wide as say a Wisinko, who had all of those other bars and parties etc. to boost their sales.
Yeah, their market.
I remember they have that that deal with Red Stripe as well.
What deal with Red Stripe?
Are they the ones with the deal with Red Stripe to where Red Stripe wanted, I think, cassava to use in their beers instead of importing barley.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
what about
I remember that for real.
So what's the deal exactly?
They were going to partner with Red Stripe. I'm not sure if one party
through though.
Yeah, I think it did. So one party is going to provide the land, and then the other party is going to provide the labor.
Yep.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, remember thing there. They have thing there. They have the sugar lands.
Yeah.
They're not producing sugar anymore, but they still own the land, so they're looking for stuff to do with it. They had the Red Stripe. The Red Stripe were negotiating, and they were also speaking with the Coconut Industry Board about that. So what they're looking for is that cassava, they would grow cassava on the land, and Red Stripe would just be the person to sell it to. And with the Coconut Industry Board, they wanted more coconuts and coconut products. So what they do, they grow the coconuts on the land, basically lease the land from Seprod, so they get that income. And then the products, so they'll make other products more than just coconut. So coconut water, packaging, and type of thing there. And Seprod would put that into their operations and sell and distribute them. So there are a lot of stuff. So I'm not really sure on what exactly they're going to do with the land yet, because I haven't seen anything definitive on we're going in this direction. But that's the two talks they were having: coconut and cassava. So we shall see. I haven't heard any mention of it since I seen the cassava article was September 2019. So don't know.
Send me that cassava article,
right, cool.
So I'll put it in the show notes. And I like when I hear that 2 growth options from them require 2 industries like that, coconut and cassava.
Yep.
Because one, it helps a lot of other farmers, but let's be realistic. I mean, Coconut Industry Board owns a huge
chunk of Seprod.
Part of Seprod.
So if
Seprod is gonna ask them for something, that's gonna allow them to make money and also allow Seprod to make money. I suspect they're gonna hear a yes.
I think it was the coconut was approaching them. I was sending that link as well.
Oh wow! And on the other side, you have who was the other people you said? Who were the other people that you said? Schaunn, you're not muted, sir.
It's Dundas, man.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
On a podcast.
Jano Dundas. Sorry, what were you saying?
Sorry, I forgot my point. There are two people needed for it. One is a coconut industry board, which I like.
And they were saying Red Stripe with the cassava.
And Red Stripe, which just seem to have a very close thing with Red. They do have a plant together. Like an energy plant.
I can't remember. I can remember that.
I think that.
I know Red Stripe have an energy plant, but I don't know if it's both of them together. Yeah, I don't know.
Does Red Stripe have is it called a cogeneration plant?
Let me look it up.
Who knows?
They have a co-manufacturing agreement with Nestle, or they're working on an agreement with Nestle. I have to check exactly what it was said. But I think they're going to utilize the dairy plant, and Nestle will use space in it to manufacture their local dairy operation. Which is still
I'm looking at the article now and I'm realizing it's an old article, 2014 old, so that's 6 years old, and it's with Sygnus saying that they had identified a partner for their cogeneration plant, and they will join beer maker Red Stripe and poultry producer Jamaica producers, which have invested in cogeneration plants. So I guess maybe it's not maybe the same plant, maybe it's just like them.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What I'm seeing a 2020 article that references the plant, and it still just says Wisynco and Red Stripe, so it doesn't seem that Seprod is in there.
Oh.
Yeah, this one was on March 8th, 2020, where they're talking about JPS, and they're referencing some companies that came off the grid already. And when they mention in the Red Stripe plant, they mention Wisynco and Red Stripe. And what is it? Combined heat and power. Yeah, so it's a combined heat and power plant with Wisynco and Red Stripe, based on what this article is saying.
Okay.
I'm seeing one where it says Seprod invested in 2 LNG power plants.
Yeah, Seprod uses a lot of power on their own.
Yep.
But I mean, they're major companies. Seprod again is one of the. I call it a pension company. If you have a I don't know, if you have a pension need, I wouldn't tell anybody to make it their pension, but if you made your pension, you would not necessarily be in a bad place. So I mean, I really like Seprod in the long term meaning over the next year and over more than a year. 10-20 years, you can't go wrong owning Seprod if you bought it now. All right. So next up we have
Sagicor,
which we kind of touched on already, so it's kind of easy. Yeah, which one of the guests want to take it? Henel, Schaunn, Nicholas, Dundas?
Isn't that Scotia?
It is
Scotia.
Oh,
yeah.
G is Scotia.
Okay.
No, it happened to me all the time. So I remind myself by saying G is Scotia. So SGJ is Scotia Group and SJ is Sagicor.
Yeah.
But yeah, Scotia Group. What do you guys feel about this one?
I don't have much thoughts on Scotia overall. Like they give good dividends, but for what I'm looking for, it's not really there, you know.
I don't see much room for growth, so I really haven't looked in.
I mean,
really.
I've heard Ryan Strand mention something before, where he's saying
big up Ryan, 5 Salada.
Yeah, definitely.
What?
Indeed.
Praising the dividend from them, right?
That as well as looking for a possible buyout.
Buyout.
You know, he did.
Yeah, I think they're exiting.
Yeah, he did mention something like that.
I have said that.
Yeah, so
I think we said that on the last one.
Yeah, so that would be interesting to look out for if it does happen.
But you can't look out for it. You have to own it from now, right? Because you know it
True.
The second that news hit, you know.
Yeah.
The moment
share price will fly.
I don't know. I don't know what else to really say on Scotia per se.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a lot to say. It's just they give nice dividends for me. But then I'm not sure. We saw some downsizing. We see where they were going to sell the insurance arm. The insurance arm didn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm here and I'm like, I don't know if it was... I'd have to check and see if it was Sagicor who said, all right, we can't bother with this and don't sell us the insurance, or if it was Scotia who said it, or if they just both decided that, hey, look, this is not going to work right now. So maybe that might give me some thoughts if when I check that. But right now, there's really not much on my brain for them.
Okay, well, I mean, the deal, I believe it was, they say it's mutually called off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then
and they had no expectation around the Trinidadian side of things. But we mentioned it earlier, which is that it seems like Scotia is still upper selling, and I they just look at they're leaving the region, right? They've sold off so many arms of the business within the region to other people, but they've kept the one in Jamaica and in Trinidad. And okay, you look like you want to leave. You're just looking for the right exit. So if somebody buy you, it might be a big deal, right? You might be in the right place. Who knows? Maybe one of those small finance players might level up and buy in.
Who knows?
Buy in the group and rename it, take on the risk.
Yep.
That could happen. Outside of that, though, as the business is now, it doesn't seem to be very attractive. Outside of the same thing you said, the dividends. They actually paid the hugest dividends last year. We said that last episode that on an average basis at the $50 price, they would have paid an average of 8-point-something%. The yield was 8-point-something% in terms of dividends last year. Now with Corona, with them having to take on ECLs and all of that stuff, I don't know how realistic they are in terms of growth prospects. So outside of news, I don't really see anything sending them spiking. And unless they do another special dividend, which I could, because that's what you do, right? But no, they're also prevented from paying dividends because they're under the BOJ mandate, the BOJ request.
Indeed.
Yeah, so boring company. They're not boring, but they're the least active for their size within their sector, I would say.
Agreed.
Yeah, Scotia. If you own a lot though, you're looking for a consistent. Well, I can't say this dividend because they're not on the dividend again. Damn. Rough. Let me speed things up a little bit. We are now at SIL, Sterling Investments Limited. Nobody know them?
Yeah. Their last report was they had a good increase. I don't remember exactly, but I know that their profit margin was, they had a good increase in profit.
What was the cause of it?
What was it?
Let me try.
I think they're comparing to a loss.
If my memory serves me, I think it was a loss they had before. Let me see if I can get the statement right here so I don't chat any foolishness.
I think we do.
Yeah. Alright, so we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
So they had a 27 mil bit of interest income. But while you look for it and get the details, I'll give a once over how I see Sterling, right? They invest in US dollar assets and they invest outside of the country, right? They try to serve in what they do as a protection, or some would say a hedge in some respects, against local occurrences.
Depreciation.
So they do state that. And they had a few losses last year, a few quarters, including the first quarter. Which they're now comparing to profit. So $4.5 million worth of profit. Make sure they're in US dollars. Yes, I believe they do report in US dollars.
Right, they do. But they
do.
Big kicker for me for Sterling. But wait, stop. They report in US?
I believe they do, but I could be incorrect.
That is not what I'm looking at. No, they report in J dollars.
JMD?
Yep.
That's exactly.
Apologies.
I'm seeing here where they had a big FX hit last year.
They always have big FX hit. So if FX goes up, then Sterling does well that quarter. If FX goes down, Sterling does poorly that quarter. Well, not poorly, but you get what I'm saying. They recognize that.
So last year they took a big hit. This year they had a gain on it. So that helped revenue and everything. So that helped revenue a whole lot, and then their expenses were up as well. Whole lot.
But
where was that one? Unrealized loss.
Unrealized loss on equity.
And structured notes. So that was a big thing there.
They had bought into some thing. They had a right issue, and they were the proceeds from that they were going to use to invest more. increase the portfolio. So, but sterling is very tied to the FX rate.
Okay.
As Randy says, a hedge.
Heavily tied to it.
So if the dollar goes down and down and down, sterling is making money on that side.
Yeah. What I'm seeing here
on the
is
flip
really
side,
the FX loss that they had last year was the big thing, because when you carry it come back, that's pretty much it, because the fair value loss that they took this year is, I mean, it's bigger than the FX loss that they had last year, but it pretty much leaves back. It leaves back the FX loss, and they did a bit better revenue wise. So
it's profit
that's where
versus a loss.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's profit versus a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on the similar sort of revenue. So the revenue was 21.8 last year, and this year it's 27.7, but it's not being hit to the tune of 20 million
in FX losses.
In FX losses, exactly, which is what really gave them a hard time. On the growth side of the business, they invest heavily in US structured stuff, and on the US, the growth of the US market does help them. And as we know right now, as at this point at least, the US market is flying to higher heights than it has ever been. So I suspect that sterling might actually have some good news to report for the Q2. And I'm saying that without having done a deep dive, guys. So don't kill me if it's not.
With the US market, which market exactly? But I don't think it's US stocks they have heavily,
Yeah, man, I think they do have US stocks, or they invest in, or they face the movement of US stocks. So they're probably in a couple of funds. They mention it, The S&P 500. Well, they might have just been mentioning the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones index because of it. But I believe they do have some exposure to the US market. So as the overall US market rises, they benefit.
I'm not sure if they have any stocks though.
We'll do a deep dive. Yeah.
Not direct stocks, maybe not. Maybe not direct stocks.
But you know that.
Sure.
You'd have to go deep in there. So you can hear from my lack of intimate familiarity with it. I don't own any. I bought some SIL once because I bought accidentally, thinking I was buying BIL. Wow. Yeah. Don't trade while tired. As I put the order in, and as far as I concerned, I bought some BIL, and I checked my account the next day, and I said SIL there. I'm like, but where this come from?
Jana.
Turns out it was wrong. It was a wrong buy at the time. That's the only way I've ever owned it. But if they are tied to US earnings or the US market, and if they get exposure to the US market, they obviously might, and depending on the timing of that exposure, so their quarter would have ended at the end of, their Q2 would have ended at the end of June. So if they're exposed to the US market, and if the US market ended end of June up, or whatever they're in ended up, the listener, to go and ask your licensed investment advisor about this, or do your research on it, then I could see them reporting a stronger Q2 in a space where not many people have, in the finance space where not many people might have that time period as good, right? And I don't think they have heavy ECLs, if they have any ECLs at all. I don't think they'll be exposed to it, but they could be, depending on what they hold. And I don't know. I think they had something exciting. Did they have a stock split? I think they had a stock split, no? Or a proposed stock split.
So there you go.
Somebody had a proposed stock split. I think it's sterling, but I could be wrong. And they put it off.
You sure it's not the JAMT one?
No, it was one of the JAMT guys. I think there was something about
I don't remember.
You can scrap that. Yeah, I remember it being them, but I could be wrong. And we don't need it to. What I do know is that they do pay dividends consistently, and they'll probably continue to pay dividends consistently. Nice older money company. Wow, I think of them as a nice old money company and a nice long money company. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Otherwise, sorry, Dana, you're saying something?
You heard that sound?
that bike?
Oh, yeah, that was my background. Sorry about that.
Oh. that I so frightened for a second. Yang.
Yang them a pull through.
Yang frightening.
Spanish don't believe in I've seen it.
I know them reach. Hi guys, Randy here, reminding you that this is part 2 of a 3-piece episode. So the first part was episode 44. This episode is episode 46. And we will have the last episode where we wrap these companies at another time in the future. But just wanted you to know, understand why it is that it ended without our typical sign-off. And I'll do the typical sign-off. I'm at RTRo, Randy Rowe on Twitter. And my co-host is Danai, and you guys also heard from Henel, Schaunn, and Nicholas in 876 Invest in this episode, and they will of course be back when we wrap this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Look out for the other one soon.
Hey guys, Take Diggs here, giving you some weekend movement. I don't know how to record the music and record it at the same time, so we're gonna give ourselves some our own music. Bop, 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 bop. Listen to the choreography. It's right, double up to the side, slow body roll. 2, 3 more. Then stop that COVID. Stop that COVID out. I'm gonna freeze. Wait and freeze. Do your own freeze and squeeze those nips. Yes, it feels good to move, guys. It feels good to move. Everybody's stressed out. Nobody wants to die from COVID. We all know that Black Lives Matter, but you know what else matters? Earnings season, bro.